the Jason J. Daniels Show. Good afternoon. We're having some coffee talk. It's been a while, right, Mindy?
It's been a while, but it's good to be back.
One
Love
of
it.
my favorites, Powerhouse Mindy. Mindy, please introduce yourself to the people on YouTube and all over the world on the internet.
Well, hello everyone. It's always great to be on with Jason. I just love it. It's one of my favorite interviews. And I'm Mindy Pechenuk. I'm running for Oakland mayor in 2026. I ran in the special election against Barbara Lee in April of 2025. And, while I didn't win the election, I thought I did pretty good given that I'm a known Trumper here in Oakland. Not exactly the heart of Trump territory. And yet, out of, I say, 9 active candidates, there were 10, but one dropped out, but his name stayed on the ballot. But of the 9 of us who were really active in the campaign, I came in third.
Wow.
And being that I was a known Trumper out there, it was just tremendous. And I decided right after the election ended in April, when Barbara, I like to call her Queen Barbara Lee, got elected, um, I decided, I'm just going to announce right away
I love that. Sorry about
and
the
fight
crosstalk.
and start the fight now because she is destroying the city in spite of what she says, and so I think there's a changing tide going on right now, and we're going
Okay.
to make Oakland a model for how you can change a city that has been destroyed, eradicated, almost left to die deliberately, into a great, productive, beautiful city again.
I love that. That is what you want to hear from a mayoral candidate. That's what you want to hear from somebody who cares about the process. Um, I need to. You're hearing you right now. I'd have to do a sound check here. Okay,
Okay,
we sound good. All right, sorry about that.
no problem.
It's been a while, and then I got the guy out here doing the leaves, so hopefully you don't hear
I
that.
don't hear it.
It's for the audience. It's been a while since I've had a show. I had a lot of things going on in my life, all good stuff. So I had to set my studio up. It's very plain right now, so forgive me for not being spectacular. But it's all about Mindy, and we've been doing a lot of Oakland stuff for the last 5 months, 6 months since we've known
Yeah.
each other. Oakland is now back in the national conversation. I guess it's never left the national conversation, you know? Yeah, here's this guy through the blower, so forgive me.
Actually, can't hear it on this side.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And what brought Oakland back? Well, two things. One is the election where Barbara Lee was elected, right? That made national news, that election. And then the president, was it last week? Yeah, last week came out and said he listed Oakland as one of the uh, dirtiest, out of control, outlaw cities that's run by Democrat radicals. The I mean, I don't call them Democrats. I call them anarchists because that's a whole nother. It's not the party it used to be. So
Oh no.
what's going on right now is just a disgrace for Democrats that are seriously like, old school American, patriots. But anyway, my point is, the president brought Oakland to the forefront as a target for them to possibly bring the National Guard in. So, Mindy, I know you're really involved in this, and obviously you're a Trumper. You're very plugged in, and you know everybody, on that side. So, talk to us. Give us some breaking news. Let us know what's going on, and talk to us about this because if other folks have watched Seneca Scott, who shout
Right.
out to Seneca, who has incredible videos that just went national on Fox News
Yeah.
of all the destruction in Oakland and just the desiccation. If people are aware of this now, they should realize it's been going on for years. And so now the president may actually start to make Oakland like one of his examples. So tell me about your thoughts and everything going on.
Well, I think I would start with the fact that, and I appreciate what you said about Seneca because he has done incredible work and does incredible podcasts. And I was actually on his podcast a few weeks ago,
Good.
and it was a good interview, a lot of fun too. And And it is the case that there is a growing movement in Oakland to actually make a difference and to change it. And what President Trump did last week made me very happy because the shout out to Oakland, this is when he was announcing that he's going to bring in the military, the National Guard into DC in order to clear up the crime of the city of our great capital. And in that press conference, he made a beautiful shout out to Oakland when he said Baltimore and Oakland are a disaster and nobody, even talks about it. And Barbara Lee went bananas. She took the bait. I mean,
She
this
really
woman is
so
about
crazy.
as smart as a box of rocks, but she
Ouch.
and she is run by George Soros, by the worst of the progressive. I hate to call them progressives because they're really de-progressive. They're
Mhm.
unprogressive, uh, faction in the Democratic Party, which intentionally over many decades. And remember, she was a woman who was in Congress for 25, 26 years. She had the power to go in and rebuild this city. But instead, what did she do? She destroyed Oakland. We have a great port of Oakland. And what did she do? Why do a lot of people in the port of Oakland like Barbara Lee? Well, she got them millions of dollars to bring in a green agenda, the green policy to the Port of Oakland. That's the last thing Port of Oakland needs. Port of Oakland needs, yes, to develop, to grow, to expand, to modern. Yeah, I'm all for modernization, but the green package is not the package that's going to do that. And so, Barbara Lee's election, I think, was made by some people. I mean, why, after you've been 26 years in Congress, do you want to become the mayor of Oakland?
Well, because she lost her last attempt to get back in a national office.
Exactly. She
She
lost.
was completely rejected, but in Oakland, it was easy for her to pull off a win with name recognition, and she had unlimited funds. Let's be real, and, and she had a really terrible candidate. Let's be real,
Yes.
that they elevated.
Yeah.
So you came in third, and well, there was somebody in between, but he didn't count. And
Right.
then we had Suze, who shout out to Suze. We highly
Sure.
respect Suze
Right.
Robinson, and then some others. But the national media and the local media elevated Lauren Taylor as the guy who could knock her off. We all knew that there's no. It's like you go to the salad bar and it's like, okay, I have leafy lettuce or Caesar lettuce, right? Leafy lettuce. Anyway, my point is, there was no choice between them. It was like we're going to serve you up to the anarchist and then the guy who's sleepwalking, right? And it's honestly, look, I've invited him on my show. They won't come on. I've invited Barbara. They won't come on. Whatever. Um, but and then everyone's saying that he's going to be front runner again. That's just preposterous. But the point is that just going along with what you said, is she walked in and because she was ushered in by the mainstream media that are bought and paid for by Soros. I mean, we know, just like you said. I mean, Soros is coming to the end of his rope, hopefully end of his time, but we know that Soros has paid for a lot of these anarchists to be plugged into local government. And it's really, why do I pay attention to local government? Because I've seen the plan. Because nationwide they can't really, they're embarrassed, right? They're scandalized, the Democrats. But locally, they have worked for the last 5 years to plug in every radical they can in local
Right.
government
Right.
offices. We're talking city council, dog catcher, DA, mayors, whatever it is. That radical agenda has done everything they can to plug them. And the goal, I think, is to just destabilize people at home. Like local government hits you at home, right? They want to destabilize and cause all sorts of chaos for just the average person. So they start to feel like they need the Democrat anarchists to save them, right? It's like you create,
Right.
like
Right.
it's the typical abusive relationship, right? You create drama, and then you save them from the drama, right? And you create a victim mentality. But so yeah, so back to, not to get off the subject, but so I want to go here with this. So
Sure, go
Barbara
ahead.
Lee has where I'm going. This Barbara Lee is she's in. She didn't do anything for what 2 or 3 months until Trump said something. She did nothing. We knew this. She's just going to hang out and continue the status quo. But when Trump pushed that button, like you said, she went crazy and now doing a press conference. And she said, to paraphrase, essentially, Trump, look, I'm gonna be controversial. She essentially said Trump is being racist by trying to clean up crime. And I don't usually use that word, but I think it's appropriate because that's the line now. If you want to attack the Democrat mayors, apparently now you're digging into race politics, which is just the same old playbook. I'm not afraid to say that because we know crime has no culture, no color. Crime has no boundaries.
Right.
So talk about that. How you feel about the fact that the Democrats basically are saying crime is cool. Right? Trump,
No,
crime's cool. Then all the talking points. Hey, crime's okay, man. It's not that bad. Only 107 people died last year. Not that bad. Only that
right.
many
It's like,
murders, right? So
yeah,
I know I
exactly.
did a lot of talking. I know it's something that's really near and dear to me with this whole crime is not crime now. It's cool. Crime's not cool. Tell me what your thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah, no, exactly.
If that
Because
made any sense, I don't know.
what Barbara Lee did is when Trump went with the National Guard, the military in DC, and said that about Oakland, she immediately put out a statement saying Trump is, this is not true. I mean, Oakland crime since I've been mayor has gone down, and and we are taking care of our own. And I had, and right after, just a few days ago, not far from my house, in one of the more decent parts of Oakland, Saturday morning, two people were shot and killed.
That's right.
So I don't think crime is going down. And it depends how you define what she's defining as crime. You can do anything you want with statistics,
Mm-hmm.
but let's look at the reality. And I've done 8 ride-alongs or so with the Oakland police, mainly with the East Oakland police, the worst part of Oakland you can get, where guns are dispensed like candy, where drugs, open air markets are dispensed like nobody's business. Where, and this gets me, which is why I'll go to something in a second that's about to come up here in Oakland, is that you have the drug cartels living in Oakland. I mean, the Mexican cartels, the Sinaloa cartel,
Wow.
one other cartel that's even more deadly than the Sinaloa cartel, are living in Oakland. They use their stash houses in Oakland to stash the drugs. They use illegals to come and pick up the drugs and then take the BART train to San Francisco to sell the drugs in San Francisco. Let that sink in the city of Oakland. Now, the San Francisco has a program which I've wanted very much to bring here. I campaigned on it, called DMAC. And what it does is it allows the sheriff, the local police of San Francisco, to work with the federal government. So there's a unity to go after these things. And in fact, the San Francisco DMAC program came into Oakland, did arrest some of the cartel members that were involved in the cartel networks.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it was the cartel themselves, I forget now, or whether it was just the people working with the cartel, but they did do these arrests. They named the street where they did it. It was out in the media when this happened.
Okay.
And yet, the political class of Oakland, the Barbara Lee, the city council, people who say, well, it's not in my job description. Excuse me, why are you in the city council? Why are you the mayor? Why
I've
haven't you changed the city ordinances of the city?
I got something to say on that.
Yeah,
Let's
okay,
switch them
I'll
up.
finish
Go
the
ahead. I
thought.
just don't want to forget. I had an interaction with one of the council folks,
Okay, good. I want to hear it. And
and
do you
this
want
is
to jump
public,
in
so
and
it's
come back
not anything secret.
Do you want to
Um,
jump in and then I'll finish the thought? That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, back to you were talking about the cartel, the arrest. If you can find that link, please send to me because I'll add it to the show, like when
Okay,
that
I'll,
happened. If you
I'll
can,
find it.
because I will say this: I'm as the audience is growing, I'm starting to get people who are fact checking things, right? So not you per se. They're fact checking other stuff, but now I'm just trying to be cognizant and like when we talk, anybody talks about things, I'm going to ask my guests, hey, make sure you send me that link.
Yeah, I can get.
And if unless I know where it's at and I can ID it. But you are look. There's no one that knows more about this than you and others. Seneca, like that group, you guys track it. Okay, Carol Fife, is that the name of the
Oh,
council?
Carol Five, she's one of the worst.
Okay, well, I don't know Carol personally, but I follow her on Instagram and I've invited her on my show. And look, I'm not going to blowtorch her. I don't agree with her at all. And she clearly knows that, but I'm open minded. I think it's important for people to have these conversations. We're all humans. Anyway, so she posted on Instagram after Barbara, like, it's all coordinated, right? Barbara does her announcement. Everybody that supports her licks her boots. Sorry, Carol, but you're a boot licker. Sorry, you are, man. You're gonna watch this, be mad, but come on my show and you can be mad on my show. So anyway, so she's licking the boot, and she posted on her Instagram all the fake stats of all these cities, trying to say crime is cool. Okay, that's the thing now. Crime's cool. So I just said, hey, can you post a link to these stats? Because I don't think these are verified. These seem inaccurate. And hey, by the way, you can come on my show. She responded to me with the question of a question and said that I was challenging. I'll post the clip, but she essentially said I was challenging statistics from the police departments. Like, that's bad. Like, of course I am. I don't trust anybody. God, I barely trust, the people giving me my change. But my point to her was like, and then I said, hey, you're welcome to come on my show. So, I mean, that was the interaction. I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, look, she obviously interacted with me, but she did not want to take my invitation to come on my show. Now, I've DM'd her, I think, before, and I might have emailed her, maybe not. But look, everybody's welcome to come on. But you're right. The city council has been super culpable. Let's be real. The former mayor is looking at 100 years in federal prison indictment. Like, so whenever people tell me there's not a problem with Oakland, I just go, what about your last mayor? How does that happen? That's like historic. But anyway, yeah. So sorry about that. That was my interaction.
That's good. I love the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Carol Fife, as Seneca has documented, her nonprofits making tons of money at the cost of the citizens of Oakland.
Yeah, so there's some interesting questions that people have for her. I think I don't think it's bad to ask and answer them. I don't.
If you're a political leader of any, I don't care if it's dog catcher or mayor or city council, you have a responsibility to be completely transparent about what you have, what you're doing, and most of these people are doing very bad things. And my camera is freezing. Is it freezing?
That's okay. We can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just me right now, but I can hear you.
Okay. And this is really, really important to go back.
Actually, you are. Let me see something. You are. Let me drop you and jump back on because your signal just got really tough. Okay, I'm gonna kick you. You got kicked. Okay, guys. So back to what we're talking about. Thanks for watching. I'm kind of in my own way. We'll bring Mindy back on in a second. Those things happen because we're doing this remotely. I'm planning on doing an Oakland visit and doing some sit downs with some folks. That would be a whole lot of fun. But we're really concerned about Oakland now. People ask you, who is this guy? Because I've been doing my podcast for years, and now I'm just talking about Oakland right now. Well, no, I think it really is important to talk about Oakland. And I obviously have family and friends that are affected by the government there. And I'm also concerned about the fact that Barbara Lee is one of the most radical anarchists to ever have been elected to public office in the last 40 years in our nation. Now, I will give her some credit. I'll give her some credit. She could win an election. She ran a pretty, interesting campaign. Mindy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm trying to get my camera to work.
Yeah, you're really blurry right now. I'm not sure what the issue is. Yeah. Darn it. Let me see here. Can you? How about we do this? Turn off your entire browser and then restart it. Unplug your mic and plug it back in if you have it in. If not, and unplug your camera and try that.
So should I just get out completely?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm gonna lose you again. But yeah, just turn off your browser and then reboot your browser.
Okay, got it.
Okay, cool. So these things happen, technical difficulties. If we can't get around, we'll continue maybe tomorrow. But and so I've been covering this, right? And I'm on X, and I have a large following there. Well, almost 8,000. No, still, no, I'm overstating it. That's TikTok. A little over. It's like 7,200, 100. It fluctuates the way that X does it. So I've got I've I've got a decent following, and I do a lot of different things, and I like politics, local politics, and sports. I've spent a lot of years working with local politicians, and I understand elections and how these things work. But I've connected with a lot of in the mayor's race, connected with a lot of the candidates who want to make a difference in Oakland, and they're all still very active. They don't just give up if they don't win elections. They're concerned about Oakland. But Oakland has the most interesting corruption that I think we've seen in a long time. And back to Barbara, giving her credit. She voted against the Iraq War way back. She was the only one that stood up against it. I think she might have even voted against Afghanistan, which, it is what it is, ancient history. If you're under 40, you really don't understand how significant that vote was for Barbara Lee at the time she did it. A lot of people did not agree with that, especially her own party. So she was really, really murdered in the press at the time because everybody was like itching to blow shit up. That's look, if it's a whole 9/11's a whole other story. I'd love to do a show on that on a 9/11, but Mindy's back. Let's see if we can get her back on. But a lot of people don't realize that that was. There you go.
There we go. We're back.
You sound wonderful. Yeah, sometimes when that because we are like remote, right? So everything is kind of like, look, it's plastic and wires, glass.
You know what? I think
an
it's going to
American-
go out again. I can see it already happening. Maybe I should get my other computer.
Yeah, if you feel comfortable with that, do that. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'll do that because I think this one is reacting at this point.
No
Sorry.
worries. No, your audio is great, but if you want to switch to the other one, go for it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's a miracle this stuff works anyway. So and by the way, sorry that like it's so plain. I moved into a new studio, so I haven't set it up yet, and my table is like I normally have a table. It's still taken apart. It's just crazy. Life's crazy, but so back to 9/11. You guess if you're in your 20, if you're under 40, you just don't. And it's not it's not a flex or anything. I'm just saying if you're under 40, you don't understand. You just don't get it. How we were so rabid for revenge, right? The world was rabid for revenge. And it's kind of like the Israeli situation. It's not the same, but it's similar in the sense that there was a sneak attack and thousands of civilians were killed. I think it was over 1,000 for the Israelis. Now, you can fact check me. I'm not clear on it. I'm just saying it was a lot of people and it's pretty terrible. But it was a very visual social media event, right? So it was jarring. And I think people are missing that. If you're trying to figure out Israel and Palestine, just stop trying to figure it out. You just can't. I really think unless you live out there, unless you're in one of those countries, unless you're involved, you really don't have an opinion. You just don't. Your opinion is shaped what you see on social media and see in the mainstream media. Now, what you see in social media is true. If most cases, if it's video or live, it's verifiable. That's unfiltered, and I appreciate that. But it's just. And I'm not picking any side. It's just a real difficult situation. But I do know what it was like during 9/11. And nobody could tell us anything. Nobody could tell us anything. And we're ready to just, we're ready. Okay, so we're going to, I'm not sure. So Minnie's trying to jump on here. Let's see here. Okay, cool. Let's see if this one works. And here we go. Let me know if you can hear me, Mindy. I'm just talking about Barbara Lee, but I segued to 9/11. But so nobody could tell us anything at that time, And if you're under 40, you just don't know what that was like. So I was just giving Barbara some credit. Your mic is muted, just so you know. And so I'll give her credit on standing up on that principle. We know that Iraq was not the best move, right? So
Right.
Perfect. Okay, there's a little bit of an echo, but I think we're good.
Yeah, let me shut. I have another speaker on.
No, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah, because my echo stopped.
Okay.
We're good. Live TV, live streaming, guys. I love it. You look great. See, we added a little action to this show.
Yeah, little improv. I got to plug in my charger.
You got to plug in her charger. So anyway, we'll give Barbara Lee that credit. We'll give her that credit that, she stood on principle, but that was like 20 years ago, 25 years. And since then, she's just opposed we see Gerald back there. What's up, Gerald?
Yeah.
Special appearance by Gerald. He is.
Yeah, he got the article you wanted on the DMAC.
He is the wind beneath your wings. Okay. Or vice versa.
There we go.
So how do I sound?
You sound great. If I'm good, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we'll jump back to. So let's talk about. I did enough on. I was just talking to the folks about Barbara Lee, giving a little background on that. And if someone's watching this, they probably already know everything about her. Like, this is like kind of an inside baseball conversation. So talk about your thoughts on the federalization of the National Guard and bringing them in. Like, as far as you're concerned, there's a lot of questions on the legality of it. I don't have questions on it. I know it's, the president can do it, and everyone else knows that. But apparently Barbara Lee and her cronies want to spread misinformation saying that he can't do it. He's the president. He can do anything he wants with the National Guard within reason, as long as they're not, bringing arms against citizens and all these things.
Right.
But from what I'm hearing in D.C., they're not pulling weapons. They're just, as far as what I'm hearing, because that's the line, right? If you're drawing arms against citizens with the National Guard, so they're going without weapons, but also they're being supported. They're supporting law enforcement who have the weapons, right? The local law enforcement. So talk to us about that, the federalization, and how you feel about that.
In fact, when I ran for city council at large, I put out a press release calling for the National Guard to be brought into Oakland at the time. And so I clearly support President Trump's effort on this. And I know there's some people here in Oakland who are planning a rally on Thursday to actually call for the National Guard to be brought into Oakland. And this is Edward Escobar with Citizens Unite. And this is really important because it gets back to your previous question that we were talking about. People who think criminals are to be supported because they were just had a bad childhood or they had a bad experience. And so they're not really criminals. They're just misguided people. And just give them a hug and everything will be great. Well, I don't believe in that school. All right. They are, in a certain sense, victims themselves in a lot of cases. That's true. But when you commit a crime, it's a crime. When you take another human being's life, it's a crime. Yeah. When you push drugs, when you give fentanyl-laced Percocets to kids, it's a crime. You killed that child, whether he physically died, whether he had mental issues after that, or whether he just lived a life on drugs being thrown out. And that's why I think it's so important. And I do support bringing the National Guard into Oakland. Because look, the depth of and it's totally legal by the way our country is set up. Trump did it in Los Angeles. Kennedy did it, JFK, in the South, when they were trying to get the schools integrated.
That the Democrats were opposing, by the way.
Yeah,
The
right.
Democrat Party opposed segregation, by the way.
Yeah, hello. You know,
Like if everyone just wants to rewrite history and said the Democrats have been the knight in shining armor, they have not been. The party has historically been opposed to being progressive, and that's why they created a label of progressivism,
right.
because they were known as the not progressive party. Now that the
Yeah,
party of not no free speech and crime is cool.
yeah, exactly. That's why George
It's
Soros calls
crazy.
it the open society. Everything
Yeah,
goes. It's
yeah.
all open. The principles that founded this country are thrown out of the window. The fact that we're created in the image of God, with to actually God gave only human beings a creative mind. I love my dog, but my dog doesn't have a creative mind. You
No.
know, and so that distinction between animal and mankind has been the target. You can actually say God has been the target of these people,
That's a good
and the
point.
destruction of the family life, the question of our children. I mean, what we have done, where children in California cannot read, they cannot write, and yet they these I hate to use the word progressive. I got to come up with a better word. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah,
these
yeah, good point.
deconstructionists
Yeah,
that want to
yeah, yeah.
destroy
Well, I call them anarchists, honestly. They just,
anarchists. Yeah, yeah,
people question why I call the Democrat Party anarchists, and I'm not calling them anarchists. I'm calling their actions anarchy, because
right.
you can be dressed up like in a three-piece suit or a very nice pantsuit or however, and you can look really awesome on camera, but you can say very destructive, evil, anarchist things that create chaos and cause people to do bad things and perpetuate crime. Now, if Trump and the Republicans didn't control all three branches, the anarchy party, the progressive party, would be saying things, everything's great, butterflies and puppy dogs, everything's awesome. But now that they're in control, the conservatives, everything is evil, everything is terrible, everything is, the same old playbook. So when the president, why do you think? I'm interested in this. Now we know Oakland needs a lot of work. Cool. I'm just being nice. Why do you think the president threw Oakland in there? Now I have my
I think
answer. I want to know what you think.
okay. My answer is because he's
Okay,
coming.
I'll give you the correct answer. Let's see if you can get it.
Well, I think it's two things. One is
Okay.
he's coming to California. Trump is making a move to take California, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Today, he put out a Truth Social saying he's going to create an executive order to get stop mail in ballots. We know when he came to California and he spoke at the Republican convention a few years ago, he made a big point about the horror of mail in ballots and the fraud that it creates. And in his Truth Social today, he was very explicit. And he said, I am the federal government. I'm the president. The states, on the question of election laws, do ultimately have to cohere with the federal government. So that means Newscomb and company would have to get rid of, mail-in ballots.
That is the
And,
correct answer. It's Gavin Newsom. He's going for the crime boss. That is the correct. You win.
and
That's the correct answer.
okay,
I knew you were
great. I get
getting
another my
there.
prize for the interview.
Well, yeah, it's all about Gavin Newsom. Screwsome, Gavin Screwsome, Count Dracula. Look, I'm not gonna. I am. There's one thing people need to know about me. I cannot stand that motherfucker.
Yeah, no,
Gavin
he's
Newsom is
destroyed.
he's a piece of shit, and all he's done is cause chaos in this state, and people have died because of that guy. Like
Exactly.
deaths are on his hands. So anyway, sorry, I get passionate. I
No,
can't
no, no,
stand
no,
him,
no.
man.
It's
It,
right. I
it
want to
makes
just
me
follow up.
crazy to think that people take him seriously as a leader, because the last thing he has never held a fucking real job in his life. Number one, two, all he did was lie to us in the pandemic, and he came up with the idea for mail-in ballots.
Right. And so that's what Trump is going for. And I just want to add one thing in that doubles that. There was that tragedy that occurred in Florida with these truck drivers
Yep.
who were illegal truck illegals who made an illegal U-turn and killed 3 people. Well, today Trump issued an executive order, and I don't. It's back where I was sitting before, so I'm going to have to paraphrase it, but it's on the White House website.
Okay.
He issued an executive order against California's sanctuary city for these deaths, and he made the point that it was Newsom and the secretary, in the California laws that gave these illegals a license. And he makes the point, he actually quotes Newsom in this statement. I don't have it in front of me right now,
We'll
but
find it.
maybe you can pull it up.
Yeah, we'll find
And he actually quotes Newsom saying that by giving illegals driver's license, we're actually making it safer for people. It's like, it's like Barbara Lee saying, oh, and my favorite expression with Barbara Lee is saying, she loves to put lipstick on a pig. She thinks that by just going in with bulldozers and moving encampments and, and doing a few magical things, that's why it's like lipstick on a pig. It's all cosmetic. And then she says, well, I'm doing such a great job. Crime is down since I've become mayor. It's like Newscomb saying, we'll give illegals driver's license and that's going to make our streets safer.
the
So
police.
Trump,
The police stop pursuing people.
yeah,
That's why you don't have stats. But the murders are still popping.
but they can't. The ordinances of the city. A lot of people also don't report crime because their insurance
What's the
rates go
point?
up.
Plus, in a city like Oakland, Gotham City, which is totally right, Seneca's so
Yeah.
right. You report a crime, you're going to get payback. There are
Mm-hmm.
some streets that people live on; they can't rat. The last
Right.
thing they get, everyone knows who the rat is. So, yeah, it's just it's a crime syndicate. Now, you were talking about the cartels having a foothold. I want to definitely explore that. So let's dig into that in the future. But we're so what do you think's going to happen? Do you think Trump's actually going to pull the trigger and send the National Guard in? That would be crazy. Oh, by the way, let me backtrack.
I'm
The
yeah,
rally you talked about, that's being put on by the folks who want the National Guard to come in.
right. That's right. They want the National Guard. The
I
sane,
would.
moral citizens of Oakland want the National Guard to be brought in. Because the real question becomes, I just love this, because it really is, if you want to stop murder, if you want to stop drugs, if you want to really make Oakland a great, beautiful city, you have to do it. If you're against bringing in the National Guard, you're for the murder. If you're,
Well, yeah, I mean, Barbara Lee thinks like a criminal. Let's be honest. You're thinking
Mhm.
like a criminal by going up and
Yeah,
saying, well, we don't want more law enforcement. We don't want to fund the police. Come on, she's a defund the policer. Let's be real. I mean,
let's be absolutely.
you can't put lipstick on a pig. There are quotes when that whole when the George Floyd episode happened. You can go back and see all of the anarchists in the Democrat Party posting the same stuff about police need to be defunded. She's part of defunding the police. She's not a supporter of law enforcement. Somehow she got elected. And if I was a criminal, I would really, really vote for her again.
Exactly.
If I was a criminal, I'd
Exactly.
vote for her. Yeah, vote for Barbara
Yeah.
Lee, baby. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in like when they're doing their drug deals, they got a little like vote for Barbara.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's she is setting the path for more crime. When you get up and say we don't want to stop crime because the National Guard comes in, crime stops. Murders,
Exactly.
yeah, you're going to stop murder if you have a serious military / police presence. I know that's a strong word. National Guard's not. I mean, but it's technically, run by the military, right? And yes, the gut. See, and also Newsom won't do anything with the National Guard that helps people. He won't. So if he won't, then the president has to do what the president has to do. And again,
And
Barbara
that,
Lee talks like a criminal. I'm not calling her one, but if I was a crime boss in Oakland, I would love her press conferences.
yep, that's exactly right. And I'll go as far to say that there's no way, and by the way, I don't commit suicide. Uh,
Well, please
and
don't, because that would just be a really boring show if you weren't here.
yeah, just saying it for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But if you look at the cartels in Oakland, and
You did not suicide yourself. I got you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got you.
and you look at them. I mean, how else could they stay not only in Oakland, but go up to Siskiyou County, where
It's
they
so true. Like
go to San Bernardino?
like the first thing I would do, knowing that there's a murder problem, as the mayor, the first thing I would do is say, "We're coming after you. We're going to confiscate your drugs. We're going to shut you down. We're coming after you with the full force of Oakland." So if you don't
Yeah,
do that, that means that you like crime. I'm sorry.
right,
The
exactly.
first
Because
job
otherwise, they could.
yeah, the first job of
That's
a
my
mayor is
point.
public safety.
Yeah, you can.
In fact,
You're fooling yourself. I'm sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, in fact, one of the only powers that the mayor has is really to work with the police department. And we know that she's trying to create a strong charter. Like she's trying to, we know that she wants to increase more strength so that she doesn't have to, she can actually do things that will actually help benefit her cronies, but not
But if
crime.
you're, yep, exactly.
Not
See,
crime.
and by the way, I do support a strong charter. But the question is that
Not for Barbara Lee.
not for Barbara
I
Lee,
mean,
no, for me.
yeah, for you, yeah. I mean, somebody that's going to like use it instead of like, why does the first thing she wants to do is a strong charter? That's called a power grab because
Yeah,
she
it's
hasn't done anything.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's not you and other candidates. You've been talking about it for a long time. And I do agree that, yes, a strong mayor charter makes a huge difference. They did that in Sacramento. I think they tried to do it in Stockton. We're talking about California. Other states have done it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's about the person.
Right. That's actually true. That's a good point. That's a good point,
Yeah, I
Jason.
mean,
It's
I would
about the
trust, someone that's not her. She, and I don't trust her or her cronies. Anyway, sorry, that's
actually. Let me. No,
totally.
it's okay.
I'm just riffing, but okay.
No,
So
no, no, no.
go
It's
ahead.
good. I just want to answer something to what you just
Yeah.
said because I think it's important. It is about the leader. Look, you don't have crime unless you have bad leaders. You don't have a deindustrialized city like Oakland has become and become a the biggest sales are drugs as opposed to industry manufacturing our small businesses unless you have bad leaders. Bad leaders create crime. And Oakland has suffered from that for decades. And it suffered at the hands of the central bankers and the speculators of Wall Street. And that's the other thing that you'd have, if I were mayor, the very first thing I would do is two things. I would call for an outside audit of the city by a company, whether it's Price Waterhouse, whoever it is that you can hire, to come in and do a complete financial takedown. As mayor, even if you have a weak mayor, and weak mayor is not limited.
No,
You don't just you don't go by a job description.
no,
You
and
know, you
plus, she's the kind of person that has a lot of national attention, so she can make that. She can increase the strength of that office just by saying the right things that are not, you know,
yeah.
bullshit.
The first thing I would do is pick up the phone and call President Trump
Hundred
and
percent.
say, I'm now the mayor of Oakland, President Trump. I need your help. We
Yeah.
can't do this alone. We need your backup with the National Guard, if necessary, the military. We got to clean this city out. I need your help to reconstruct some of the industries. He knows a lot how to build industry and manufacturing. Look what he's doing for the country with the
I mean,
tariffs
hundred
and bringing
percent.
back our industry.
And I'm not telling people that they need to support everything that Donald Trump does because we know he's just not typical. Some people don't. Some people, there's things they just don't like about how he does things. But I would like to not die in Oakland if I'm somebody that like I would like to be protected. Like there's certain basic stuff that he's focused on. I think that's cool. The economy is doing, really well. I think that's great. Everything, and I think the proof is in the pudding. Going to this National Guard situation, everything Trump
Yeah.
has said he'd do, he has done, and it has been very effective. It's hard to find something that he did that didn't work or is not looking like it's going to work. So when it comes to the National Guard thing, he's winning on that because the other side of it is we like crime. There's no. So why do you think Barbara Lee doubles down on the crime is cool when it's clearly an imbecile thing to do. It is the dumbest shit. So why do you think she doubles down on that, Carol? Why do you think they're just so excited about crime now? They love crime. They're like, yes, crime's good. Why? What? I mean, that's the only. It's like, it's either a cake or it's not a cake, right? You have the ingredients or you have the full cake. You can't say this is not a cake when we know if it's baked, it's a cake.
Good point.
It's just crazy to me. So we're wrapping up. It's been a good 45 minutes, but anyway, sorry. So what do you think? Why do you think they're all just like crime's cool? Is it just because they think they're going to fundraise? Lunatics are going to give them money for more crime?
I think that it's a very deep ideological flaw in what they believe in. See, they reject the principles of the American system. It starts there, because you couldn't support this insane view that hug a criminal and it'll make things better. Well,
It
the
is.
victims of the crimes, their families are hurting. The person is dead, who was an important part of society. And so this whole philosophy, and it isn't, or an ideology, it's more of an ideology that they have bought into, that for them to be in power, is that you go with this. I don't know the best way to express it, but I'll try the best way I can, is that they take the side of it's a very, I think, a very mindset. One, yeah, they make a lot of money. They do. They have all their nonprofits. Because they have a zillion nonprofits that they run, which makes them money but never solves the problem. It's why is Oakland pushing affordable housing as opposed to treatment first? It's not a housing problem for people. They're not on the street because we don't know how to build houses, or we don't have cheap enough houses here in Oakland. I mean, Oakland's rents are ridiculous, but that's a different question. That's not this whole affordable housing. And a lot of people I know are going to be very angry that I said this, but the whole affordable housing gets at the same thing as soft on crime. It's the same mentality. Just give them an apartment. Don't take away the drugs. Don't demand that they have treatment. Don't demand that their mental illnesses are addressed. But just, what are you doing to somebody? You just give them an apartment, and you give them the drugs, and you give them the right to go out and kill somebody to keep. Yeah, and the age limit of what's happening, it's getting younger and younger people involved in these crimes. So what are you doing? What do you really believe? If you have 8 and 9 and 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 15-years old out robbing in the streets, out doing killings in the streets, a lot of the crime is being done by young people.
Younger and younger.
And yeah. So what do you believe? If you're allowing that, then what is your mindset? What is your belief of what you really think about the United States and its people? What do you think of Oakland and its people, where you're actually, instead of taking these young children, and I make this last parallel just to wrap it up,
Okay.
is you have young children who should be developing and exploring great ideas with their minds. They should be learning how the universe works so they can contribute something to that society. But you say, instead, keep them in the poverty. Keep them in the hells of East Oakland. Let them out on the streets to commit crime, and then you say, give them a hug. Anybody who thinks that way, and it's like the affordable housing, is denying what actually the United States was founded on and what it is to be in the image of God. And I think their softness we shouldn't call it softness to people. They're destroying people. They're creating the criminals. They're creating, like you said earlier, and fostering the crime. So now the game is over. If you want to change it, you got an opportunity now, but you got to be tough.
Yeah, there was a time where we could take a step back and like try some things, right? try
Hmm.
try some a different approach. But
Hmm.
even Bill Clinton, when it came to work and welfare, Bill Clinton went against his own party and said, "Hey, for welfare, and you're not saying that, but this is just an example. And affordable housing is government support, but for government support for all these programs, you have to put some effort in to contribute to society. We're not saying you should change your socioeconomic status overnight. We're saying you should try. You should
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least try. And there's so much power in trying. But what you said was great, and we'll end it. The one thing I want to just say is that remember during the campaign that young boy who was going to soccer practice got killed for his shoes or
right,
something?
right.
Still haven't caught that guy or whoever. Still haven't caught that killer, right? I mean, they just don't catch killers. So your chances of committing a murder in Oakland and beating the system, pretty good.
Right.
Hey, it is very it's the proof is in the pudding because we see it. So back to what last thing I'll say on
Sure.
the affordable housing and those things and giving people a hand out versus a leg up, right? We've tried all that and it's out of control, and so we not need to rein this shit back. Sorry, we did it. We tried the social experiment. They elected Joe Biden, who, however, well, let's just say Joe Biden took the office. Now there's a lot of controversy as to where those 20 million votes went, but anyway, Joe Biden they took power, and Nancy Pelosi was in power for a good portion of time.
Right.
AOC was trying to, Schumer, the cast of characters. Where has it gotten people? It's a facade. It's a charade. So Barbara Lee is plugged into that old charade, but she's also needing Gavin Newsom to boost her
Yeah,
up because she loses elections without Gavin Newsom. He is the crime boss of California. So
I
back
love
to
that.
yeah, we need to change. We need to call these things out. Like he's corrupt as the day is long. He doesn't care about people, and I agree. Was it wasn't it was they posted was it Christy Gnomes posted that on the guy who did the illegal U-turn and killed those people, who should go to jail forever. By the way, there's no excuse for that, and he had no remorse in the videos. It's unbelievable.
Right.
Like he had no
Incredible.
comprehension that he just sent three people to the other side. Like it's just crazy. But anyway, she said that blood's on Gavin's hands because California gave him a driver's license, and she's fucking
Exactly.
right. So
It's
as
right.
far as I'll just take the illegal alien part. I'll just take that out and just say
Hmm.
there are rules. All of everybody else has to obey these rules. It's really hard to get a driver's license unless you're getting accommodations by California so they can do what? What do you do when you go to the DMV? Well, you stand in line for 65 hours, one, and two, you're registered to vote.
Right. Hello.
It's all about that. So Gavin Newsom gives driver's licenses to people who are not obeying the rules of the system. I'll put it that way. And because of that, he creates this gap of public safety. So we're talking about keeping the truth is we're at a point to where we got to stay alive here because you
Yep.
just don't know. Now I'm really excited that the border's closed and that the violent crime against innocent people by very vicious people have been stopped to a certain point, but we're still now because there are so many people still in this nation that shouldn't be here because they broke the rules, and
Yep.
most of them that are breaking the rules will continue that path, and we're seeing people die. We're not just seeing people injured, we're seeing people just die, and we're not even seeing all the other things that go along with that. So, and this I didn't want to turn this into that, but I mean it's really important because that video is going to really resonate when Gavin Newsom tries to run president. Do you think he's going to run for president? Oh, this is the last word. Do you think Screwsome is going to really try to run for president?
I think he really wants to be president. I think he has been trying to groom himself to look like the president. But I think with what's happening now and with the big changes in the world that are going on right now, Gavin Newsom, they will not allow Gavin Newsom to run for president.
I agree.
And
That's fascinating.
I think if they do, you know, he would never get elected.
No,
He
he
would
would never.
never,
There's no
never,
way he win a
never
general. Yeah.
go outside of California. I grew up in New York City, and I lived in the Midwest for 27 years. I can tell you the way New Yorkers or Midwesterners look at what went on in California, they would never elect somebody like Gavin Newsom to the presidency.
Never.
So go ahead. If the Democratic Party wants to be that insane, which they are, but or that desperate, which they are.
They are. They're really desperate.
Yeah.
They have no candidate unless somebody comes out. Shapiro. Shapiro's laying low because he's probably going to be the front runner. But look, we all know why they didn't want Shapiro to be the vice presidential candidate. We all know why, and that's pretty despicable. The Democrat Party right now is a bunch of despicable hypocrites. Now they can say that about the conservatives, and sure, the conservatives have their hypocrisy, but at least they want to shut crime down. So I don't know. I just like to stay alive. I think that's awesome. I think living is good.
Yeah.
I think, and I think people in Oakland deserve to have a mayor that would stand up and say the biggest problem is crime, and we're coming after you guys. Like, how hard is that? As far as I'm concerned, if you don't do it, you're not. If you don't say it, you don't mean it. Look, if a person's in a relationship, and I'm bad at them, so I'm just hypothetically thinking this is how it works. But if a person's in a relationship, if one person says "I love you" and the other one doesn't say it back, what does that mean? Sometimes if you don't say it, it means
you don't mean it. You don't mean it.
Yeah, you
because
speak
once
out.
You have to live up to it.
You have to live up to it. Yeah, and I think if a person loves Oakland, they're going to talk about the crime problem. That's what I think.
And they're going to bring in the National Guard.
Yeah, bring them in. So many things to talk about. Mindy, it's amazing to talk to you. I would definitely want to try to have you on at least once a month, but you're in high demand, so that's tough to do. We'll see if we can make it.
We'll make time because I'd love to be on your show every month.
I appreciate that. So tell the people where to find you on the internet and remind them about your campaign.
Okay. So you can find my campaign for mayor of Oakland. My website is electmindy.com. And it's up. It's not complete yet, but I got it up because even though I'm working on building it right now, but I wanted to get it up. And I would ask if everybody who agrees with me would go to my website and donate. The legal limit you can give is $650. That's what they limit you to here in Oakland, but that's fine. Give whatever you can. I don't care what it is. It all helps. But please donate so that I can get out there with this and build. I want to build a movement out of this campaign that recruits the population of Oakland to actually be part of the United States again, to be part of the great America again, and to be patriots of this great country celebrating our 250th birthday. So, but my website again is electmindy.com. Please go there to donate, to get the information, press releases, which I have to update, but they will be updated. And I'm running for mayor in the November 2026 election and starting early so that we can actually, and I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or NPP, let's come together or whatever else, because there are principles and I think we can do this. It's our time. It's our time. So that's how you can find me. And you can send me a message either through Jason or my website, or my email is info@electmindy.com.
And follow her on X. It's Mindy for Oakland on X.
Yeah, Mindy for Oakland on X. Yeah, thank you.
The old memory's kicking in. I've been eating a lot of carrots and vegetables lately, so my memory's working. Thank you, Mindy, and God bless you. Thank you for your hard work. People in Oakland are really lucky to have folks like you who care so deeply, and that's why we're doing this, to get the word out. And to everyone watching, thanks for watching the Jason J. Daniel Show. Follow me everywhere at Jason J. Daniel. Go with God, guys. Take care. Oh, and subscribe. You better subscribe.
Right.
Thanks, guys. Take care, Minnie. Take care, and
Take
shout
care.
out to Gerald.
Okay, will do. Bye
Take
for
care, guys.
now.
Bye.
Okay, bye.